Hello. Now, I know I say this for a lot of videos, but this one in particular for Tron Ares was a hard one to write. Not because like the themes and the ideas of the Tron Ares movie are so dense, or I had a million different ideas, a million different directions I could have taken this story. No, the reason this one was hard to write was because it required me to remember any amount of details from the original Tron movie.
Gaming Cookie Guy Entertainment.
So I don't think it's any controversial statement to say that Tron Ares is not a hit, neither critically nor commercially. But I don't know, maybe in 20 years, this will become some cult classic in the vein of the other Tron movies. And at that point, Disney, now a subsidiary of the United States of Apple, will try again for another sequel. But until that future inevitably comes, this is what we're left with. And for the foreseeable future, this is probably the last Tron movie we'll see, and that is kind of disappointing. Now, was Tron Ares a bad movie? I don't know. You could argue that. Some would say yes, but I didn't really think so. I actually kind of liked it, and at the very least, it gave me all the things that I wanted out of a third Tron movie. It gave me some cool visual sequences. It gave me some dope music, like check and check. Now, when it comes to the story, in my opinion, they played it pretty safe. In fact, they played it so safe that they circled back around to playing it dangerously, because for the most part, they kind of just glossed over the events of Tron Legacy, and this acted more as a direct sequel to the original Tron rather than a continuation of where we left off, where if you're a big fan of Legacy, which a lot of people are now, you have every right to be mad at this movie, since it kind of just spits directly into the face of the former and probably better movie. And so if I was going to make a third Tron movie from the ground up, that's probably the direction I would go in, to make something that honors the entire history of the franchise, make it more of a continuation of the story rather than a total reboot. But alas, this is the movie we have to work with. And so I got to thinking about it. What would I change if I was to rewrite some of this movie without totally starting from scratch? And I realized I needed some kind of starting point. I needed one simple change that I could build around. And I needed to think, what was something this movie was missing? What was one piece at its center? Maybe like a T-shaped, glowing piece that this movie was missing at its core. Tron. This third movie didn't have Tron in it. So yeah, let's start there. Let's try and see if we can get Tron into this Tron movie. From here on out, I present my version of Tron Ares with two main goals. I want to inject a little bit more heart into the main characters, and I want to inject a lot of bit more Tron. Now, there's good news and bad news with getting Tron into this movie, and the good news is that there is an incredibly obvious place to insert Tron into the existing framework of this movie. We simply replace Kevin Flynn's cameo with Tron. Now, the bad news is that without Jeff Bridges, this movie becomes so much less marketable, but considering it flopped anyway, I don't think that's going to be a deal breaker at this point. And considering how Kevin Flynn for sure exploded at the end of the last movie, I'd like to think that this direction makes at least a little more sense in the canon of the universe. And so in my version of the movie, when Ares enters the replica of the original grid, he has to face off with a replica of the original Tron, who has been tasked by Kevin Flynn to protect the permanence code. And as the two fight, they speak in the vein of that existentialism that we know from Blade Runner that this movie seems to borrow from. Tron wants to know, why does Ares seek the permanence code in the first place? And on the flip side, Ares wants to know, if Tron has had the permanence code with him all this time, why hasn't he used it for himself? And eventually, after a sick battle with some sick music, I will pause so you can picture said battle. All right. They decide that they are evenly matched in both skills and ideals. And Tron explains to Ares that, hey, what you're seeking isn't actually permanence. It's kind of missed names. What he's searching for is really impermanence. And Tron, to quote himself, fights for the users. His goal has never been to become one. But he has deemed Ares worthy of that ambition and lets him take the permanence code out into the real world. I guess Tron is just more of a Mozart guy. And if my only goal was to shoehorn Tron into this movie, yeah, I could basically call that a video right here. But there is one more central character to this movie that I would like to address, that being new NCOM CEO Eve Kim. Because there was a scene in this movie that I was waiting the entire movie for. A scene that was, I thought, set up earlier in the film and just never came up. And I'm not sure why, because it feels like that was going to be the culmination of where Eve's character was going. So Eve's goal in this movie is to discover the permanence code, finish her sister's work, cement her legacy. But it's also kind of hinted throughout the movie that she's also looking for the permanence code as a way to bring her sister back. And I don't know, I think that would have been a really interesting topic to explore in this movie. Now, in real life, would the Walt Disney Company, a company infamous for digitally bringing back people who have died, would they directly address the morality of those decisions in a movie? Probably not, which is one of the reasons I feel like this plot point maybe would have been dropped and left on the cutting room floor. But let's, for a moment, imagine what that could have looked like. In my version, I have placed this scene as happening concurrently with the Tron and Ares fight. I think these are both the central characters to the story, so it makes sense to have their culmination of their character arcs happening at the same time. Now, we do have to do a little plot work to get to this point. So let's say that Athena has Eve at point blank with the transporter weapon, and she is about to zap her back into the Dillinger grid. But just before she is able to do so, Hassan Minaj's character is able to not stop Athena physically, but he is able to reroute the connection that she will be transported to. She is able to reroute it from the Dillinger grid to whatever he has locally, something he knows that will be safe. He is able to reroute the transport to Eve's sister's laptop. And of course, this is a device that contains almost the entire digital footprint of Tess Kim. And so when Eve is transported to this admittedly very simple grid, it looks exactly like Tess's house, or what she remembers of where Tess lived. At least it is as close to a digital replica as possible. And in a way, she realizes this is what she's been looking for. And she enters the house and sees all the things she remembers, and there she is. There is Tess. And so we get this scene. We get time between the two sisters catching up. Eve gets to tell her of her great discovery that Tess was right, and now they can keep on doing the research that they believe will help humanity, and now they get to do it together like they always dreamed. But even this digital reconstruction of Tess knows and realizes that she is not her sister. She is not Tess. There's nothing that Eve can do that can bring her sister back. And as they come to this realization that they'll need to say goodbye, that they have one more opportunity to say goodbye to each other, that's when movies got a movie. So Athena's timer comes up and she is zapped not back to the Dillinger grid, but also into Tess's house. And now the two of them, the two sisters, have to face off against Athena. And in the end, they're not really able to put up a fight physically, but they're able to get a portal back to the real world open. And Tess is able to hold off Athena for just long enough that Eve is able to escape as they look back and share one more look, because Eve knows this is the last time she's going to see either of them. And so she zaps out, thus kind of trapping Athena in this simplified grid. And at this point, Ares and Eve both arrive back in the real world, both acquiring something different, but learning similar lessons, that there really is no permanence code. They've learned the value of impermanence. And with life lessons firmly in heart, they can now go to work absolutely wrecking the rest of Athena's forces on Earth. And I will now give you the requisite moments to picture just how dope that would look and sound. But that is it. That is my version of Tron Ares with just a couple small tweaks. Please let me know in the comments, what would you have done to change Tron Ares, or would you have, maybe like me, burned it all down and started from scratch? Please leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe for more, and remember, you are still to create the perfect system. Yeah.